Hello and happy October. Just a little update here from the mayor's office. A few big things I'd like to touch on today. The very first one is the election. So we are just 2 weeks away from the general election, and I want to encourage you to take a few moments to get out and vote. There are multiple ways for you to vote. One is you can request an absentee ballot, and you can vote by absentee. I actually strongly encourage you, if you're comfortable voting by mail, to do that. It's a safe and secure way to vote, and as our community experiences an uptick in the number of COVID cases, if you're not comfortable going to a polling place, you can easily vote by mail, or you can come right here to City Hall and go to the second floor to the clerk's office and vote at the counter. So that is an option. Couple things about the election. We do have 7 drop boxes throughout the city, so you can always drop your ballot in one of those boxes. We have one in all of the in all of the wards, I should say. And they're very secure. We have security measures around them, and they're checked daily, actually multiple times a day. And then on election day, all of our polling places will be open, and we will have ample staff working at the polling locations, and we will have a number of measures in place to make sure that you feel safe. We will be requiring that you wear a mask and you keep your social distance, so please be prepared for that. But make sure that you get out and vote on election day. It's such an important election. There are a lot of races on the ballot, and there are a number of charter amendments. So there's two ballot proposals at the state level and 2 at the local level. I've had a lot of folks ask me about those. Both of those were a petition driven by community members to get those questions on the ballot. One would move our local elections to even year, and one would eliminate the ability to win in a primary with over 50% of the vote. I've been pretty out front and vocal about my concerns and the unintended consequences, particularly moving to an even year. And the last thing I would want is for our nonpartisan local elections to be caught up in the partisanship and divisiveness that we often see with partisan even year elections. You can find out more about those by going to the city website, or I've posted a number of things on my Facebook page as well. A couple other things that I want to touch on today. As I indicated, we are starting to see an increase in the number of positive COVID cases, not just here in our community, but in communities across the state. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services have put in a number of requirements, and I ask that you comply with those. Let's listen to our medical experts in our community and wear our masks when we're out in public, keep our distance, limit our social contact with folks. I know a lot of people are getting fatigued, and this has been a really, really difficult year for so many. But one thing that I keep telling people is that, there will be an end to this. We're not sure when at this point. There's a lot of progress being made on treatments and vaccines, but we're not out of the woods yet. So we all have to continue to work together to make sure that we personally are doing everything we can to mitigate the spread of COVID. We cannot do that alone. We have to do it as a community. And I ask that you continue to be vigilant and to be a part of making sure we're doing everything we can to mitigate the spread and reduce the number of individuals who are contracting COVID. One other thing I want to talk about before I end, and that is that here in our community, sadly and tragically, we have seen a significant increase in gun violence this year. And we've also seen a significant increase in the number of individuals who have died from gun violence. And so our homicide rates are up, as well as discharge of firearms. This is a huge concern to me. It's a significant concern to our chief and the department and community members alike. We're doing everything we can here at the city to increase targeted enforcement. Our chief just recently, about a month ago, presented a strategic plan that is very multifaceted and comprehensive, that pushes some changes within the department, where we'll have an increase in neighborhood policing, but also with a commitment to diversifying the department, bringing in some mental health and behavioral health specialists to assist with responses to individuals who don't necessarily need an officer to respond once a scene is safe. So for instance, individuals experiencing a mental health crisis or a substance use crisis or experiencing homelessness. The chief is also working with partners across the community. And just recently, we've been in conversations with the county to utilize some of the county CARES money for potential electronic tools or technology that can help with identifying where gun violence is happening. We're still processing what that potentially could look like. And then we're also working with the county and with community partners around violence prevention. Two other things that will happen in the next couple weeks is that our department will be hosting a gun buyback event, 2 events, one coming up on October 24th and one on November 7th. And then also our community is coming together this Saturday for a Stop the Violence March. I know a lot of community members will be there and individuals from the city and the department coming together to stand in solidarity that this violence that we're seeing is not acceptable, and we all need to come together and be a part of not just ending it, but really preventing violence in the first place. Please know it's a top priority to us. It's a topic that the City Commission will be talking about. We have an upcoming retreat and planning process on October 30th, and this will be a topic that we talk about. And then 2 final things as we finish up. One, I want to thank all of the hundreds of volunteers that came out to join me 2 weekends ago to plant trees in the Garfield Park neighborhood. We ended up planting, I should say, over 400 trees in that neighborhood. And then last, as we move into cooler weather, I want to encourage you to still continue to support our local businesses. Like so many of us who have struggled through the pandemic, so have our locally owned businesses. And they're not out of the woods yet. And so we want to continue to support them, whether that's by shopping online or ordering takeout, or if you're comfortable going inside or still sitting in our social zones outside, which are now having heaters and coverings added to them. I know I will be putting on my winter coat and bringing a blanket and still be doing my best to make sure that I'm supporting local. And all of us have an opportunity to do that as we enter the holiday season. We can be intentional with where we spend our dollars, make sure those dollars stay local, and that we support our friends and neighbors to survive this pandemic. So with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of this day and this week, and that you also have a safe Halloween. Good afternoon, Rosalynn Bliss here from the city of Grand Rapids. Just coming to you to share my sympathies for the family of Ambassador Peter Secchia. So today we learned of his passing, and it really is a sad day for me and our entire community. I've really had the privilege to get to know and work with Peter over the last 15 years, and as I look around our city, I see so many of the projects and initiatives that he was instrumental in making happen. He'll have a lasting legacy, not just on the people and the lives he has touched, but also on the city and our community as a whole. His impact went far beyond just the city of Grand Rapids. If you've ever went out to Millennium Park, that wouldn't exist today without Peter. And there are lots of stories like that. So join me in keeping his family in our thoughts and our prayers, and really just pausing to say thanks for everything that he did.